I see that Melissa and Deborah are here, and I would love, since there are people here live right now, I would love to have you type into the comments, is there something that makes you feel apprehensive or nervous about speaking? What is you did hear it. Great. Thank you, Melissa. What gets in the way for you of, being fully expressed when you give a speaking engagement? What gets in the way of you fully just, enjoying it and getting into your speaking engagement? So I would love to have you, and for those who come along later, obviously, please type into the chat and let me know. And I'm going to jump in. So what's funny is that I gave this, quick response. Sure, I'll do 3, tips to reducing public speaking anxiety. But I'm never somebody who can really stop at 3 tips. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to bring up my notes. I hope I'm still here. Am I still on Facebook? Let me see. Oh, there I am. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not a morning person. We'll just put it that way. And for you, 9 o'clock may not even be morning for some of you. And I know some of you might be in another part of the country. But this is me rolling out of bed. So I'm not super sharp in the morning. So if you will write into the chat. So Deborah says, not sounding like my regular speaking rhythm. Yeah. So some people get into sort of a more formal or rigid kind of way of speaking when they get in front of an audience. They kind of lose that sense of who they are as a person. So thank you for sharing that. If Melissa, if you would, if you want to share something that makes you nervous about speaking or apprehensive about speaking, that's great. If not, that's fine. As requested, I will be checking in all day to see what you all have to say about speaking. So here are, I have 8 or 9 tips about 8 tips about reducing nervousness and anxiety about speaking. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give these quick little tips. And then as people come in later, if you have questions, you want me to expand upon something, that would be great. And then I can answer any questions on the Facebook page later. So just to jump right in, the first tip I always give people is to make it about the audience. So find out what they need, want, and care about. The minute you stop thinking about yourself and your own worries and all the stuff going on in your head, the faster you can get out of your head and get out here into serving the audience, the better you're going to feel once you start making that connection. Thank you, Melissa, using like and ums and how to keep people engaged. Oh, hey, good morning, Cassie. Making sure I remember all the important points I want to hit and trying not to ramble. Yep. Good. Thank you. Okay. So number 1, make it about the audience. And I'm not going to go into depth about this because basically if you turn your speaking into service, into serving the audience, you are going to be fine. You don't, and the title of my book, by the way, is, I'll show it to you. I'm going to be giving you a link to get a free copy of this. Presenting for Humans, Insights for Speakers on Ditching Perfection and Creating Connection. There it is. So my deal is to get out of the need for, perfection. And that is my second tip. So let go of the need for perfection, because here's the deal. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Audiences want to relate to you. They want to connect with you. They want you to be approachable and human. Because if you're up there talking about something and they can't relate to you and they feel like you're this distant, person on a pedestal, it makes it a little bit harder for them to kind of relate, right? And so if you focus on connecting rather than being the smartest person in the room, the funniest person in the room, the most impressive person in the room. And this is what a lot of us do in business speaking. I mean, I'm not talking about, professional speakers, I'm talking about people like you who do business speaking. And unfortunately, people who do business speaking tend to feel like they have to be very impressive and very serious and very important, or, people won't take them seriously. And it's just not true. So in terms of like letting go of the need for perfection, I will say that some of the tips that I'm going to give you, and a lot of the things I teach my speaking coaching clients, are mindset pieces, and changing your mindset, getting out of the idea that you have to do a certain thing. Thanks, Deborah. Deborah likes letting go of the need for perfection. So we're all human, and we're humans, and we're speaking to humans, and we can't forget that. So if you make a mistake, it's okay. Everybody has made a mistake in their lives. So the audience is watching you. I mean, first of all, a lot of times we make a mistake and nobody knows it, or we leave something out of our talk. And you know why nobody knows? Because they don't have a script of our speech. They don't have a script of our presentation. So a lot of times we feel like, oh my God, I blew it. I forgot something. The audience has no idea what you forgot or what you missed. But we kind of assume that they know all the mistakes that we're making. So this is, letting go of the need for perfection kind of allows you to just be real and be in the moment, and not stress out about being perfect and flawless and the most impressive person in the room. Another tip for people who get nervous about speaking is to nail down your opening and your closing. And that's to say that you have to create an opening and a closing, because a lot of people don't. So, I mean, there's a lot that I could go into about preparation and, structuring your presentation and all that. But really, if you have a clear opening where you jump in and you engage the audience with a story or a question or some sort of engagement activity, you have that planned out, you know exactly what you're going to say and do. And then you have your closing also nailed down. That means how you're going to wrap up, what your call to action is. That's not Q&A. A good closing is never Q&A. You should do your closing where you wrap up and you make your call to action after Q&A. But if you have a strong opening and a strong closing, memorized and nailed down, what happens in the middle of your presentation can be a lot more spontaneous and free-flowing. But when you have a really clear opening and closing, that creates a nice package for your presentation. Okay, so that's my next tip, of having your opening and your closing really nailed down, so that you open with polish and you close with polish. Inside of the presentation, you can be spontaneous, and you can, go where the audience wants to go, and flow. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. I'm going to take a little sip of my tea. I'm going to play my tada again because I think it's funny. That's what's going to happen every time you get on the stage, by the way. After you take these tips and you implement them in your speaking, you're always going to feel like ta-da when you get on stage. Okay, next, I want to encourage you to do a quick relaxation exercise before you speak. And it's sort of a physical exercise to release some tension in your body. It's very simple. But when you're getting ready to speak and somebody's about to call your name and you're kind of, how you're sitting there and it's building up to that moment, a really easy thing to do is to clench your fists really tight and then release them. Okay, clench, release, clench, release. You can do this with your hands, with your feet. The biggest muscle in your body is your butt. If you're sitting on a chair, you can tense everything up as much as you can and then release it. Of course, if everybody's like sitting around you and they might see you do that, you may not want to do a full intense, tensing. But tensing and releasing your muscles will, and of course, and we always know, breathe, take a couple of deep breaths. This will release some of the tension in your body that makes you feel a little bit icky and tight. And then after you do this tense and release exercise, right when you go up to speak, and I'm going to say when you go on stage, but we're not always on a stage. Sometimes we're in a boardroom, a conference room. We're in a lot of different places when we speak, right? So I'm saying on stage, but you may not be on stage. You may just be in a little conference room. That's fine. So right before you speak, give yourself a moment to ground yourself, okay? And grounding yourself means that you, and if you're watching this now or later, you can practice grounding yourself right now. You can stand up because nobody can see you. I won't stand up because I didn't set up my laptop that way, but I'm sitting down. So grounding yourself means you walk to the front of the room or to the stage, and you don't rush. Okay. So first of all, you don't rush, and you make eye contact. You look out at the audience. Okay. I'm looking at my imaginary audience in my office. Hello. And you make eye contact with individual people. This is something that will help ground you because you're not up in your head anymore. The minute you become present with a human being in the audience and make contact, that brings you into the moment, into the present. So look around the room, smile at some people, look for the people who have friendly faces and smile. Okay. Then you're going to, keep your body loose, put your arms down at your side, keep your knees loose. Don't lock your knees. Don't get into some weird, leaning position. Just stand, let your arms fall at your sides, feel the ground, feel the ground under your feet, feel your posture, your hands. You're in your body, okay? If you want to get into your body, and again, by making eye contact with people and smiling at people, you can get into your body in the moment. And then take a deep breath and smile. They're ready, they're waiting, they're anticipating. And then give a little moment of gratitude for having this opportunity, because the opportunity to get in front of an audience and share your message and share what you know, it is an opportunity that not everybody gets to stand out in that way. And so give yourself this moment of just coming into your body, relaxing your arms, your legs, making eye contact, smiling, taking a breath, a moment of gratitude. Now, it took me, a minute or two to describe that, but it really is like this. It takes no time. But give yourself that moment to get grounded and own the room. Don't just run up to the front of the room and immediately start talking while people are still clapping or while people are still shuffling their papers. Really give yourself a moment to own the room and own the space. Okay. So while you're listening to this now, or when you come back later to listen, I want you to practice doing this grounding activity. Okay. Next tip. Now, I just mentioned this in grounding. I mentioned smiling. You may not know this, but your body goes through physiological changes when you smile, even when it's fake. You may not know this. Your body goes through the physiological changes as though you were feeling the emotion tied to a smile. It's called the facial feedback theory of emotion. And that one of the ways they've tested this, so they've tested this with people fake smiling. They've even tested it by having people put a pencil in their teeth or a pen in their teeth, not even pretending to smile at all, just putting their facial muscles in the position of smiling. And it actually makes your body feel better. It makes your brain feel like you're smiling, and it translates that into a more relaxed, happier feeling in your body. So you may not feel 100% like smiling. You may do, big smile like this. But even kind of forcing yourself to smile will make you feel better, and it will make the audience feel better. And you already know how to do it. Everybody knows how to smile. It's instinctive. Okay. So consider, really consciously thinking about what your face looks like when you go on stage. See, I'm sitting here at my laptop. I'm looking at my camera. There's no human being here. I know some of you are over here in the comments, but I can't see anybody. And yet I'm smiling as though I'm looking at you. And so we can all do this. So really think about, be conscious and aware of what your face is doing when you get in the front of the room. Okay, that was number 6. We've already gone through 6. And I'm going to celebrate having gone through 6 tips. Yay, we've gone through 6. I know I said there were going to be 3, but when it came down to it, I couldn't really just do 3. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts as I'm going along? Because I think people are still here. And actually, I know there's a way to look and sort of like figure out if people are here. I don't know. Like I said, I've done Facebook Lives like 3 times, and actually the platform, or what do you call it, the interface on Facebook has changed even since I did it last. So I don't know. I can't tell what's happening over there. I'm going to assume people are here, but I know people will be here later if you're not here now. Tip number 7, engage and interact. And Melissa mentioned this in the comments, wanting to, thanks Deborah, we're here, wanting to keep the audience engaged. And let me just give you a couple of reasons why interacting with the audience and finding ways to be engaging, why that's important, okay? First of all, it takes the pressure off of you. When you're the speaker, you don't necessarily have to be talking the whole time. When you engage your audience and bring audience interaction into your presentation, that gets everybody involved. It creates a collaborative experience. So you don't have to be the one standing there talking the whole time. You get to co-create the experience with your audience. So it takes the pressure off of you to be the sole entertainer, the sole source of information, okay? Also, interacting and engaging with your audience, it helps you learn where the audience is in their knowledge of your topic, so that you can feel more prepared, and so that you can, customize as you go. The more questions you ask and the more you get a sense of where they are, the more you can shift as you go along to meet their needs. Engaging with the audience and interacting with the audience allows the audience to share their own lifetime of knowledge and experience. I never come into a presentation thinking I'm the only person that knows something. Unless you're the #1 worldwide expert in your topic, there are going to be people in the room who know stuff, and they may know as much as you. Now, they may not be experts in terms of they're not using it as much, they're not using it as well, they're not a recognized expert, but people know stuff. So it allows people to share what they know and for people to learn from each other. It gives you and the audience a mental break from a straight lecture. Excuse me. It allows the audience to process what you've been talking about. So engagement and interaction gives people the chance to process your concepts and actually to understand your concepts in the first place. The more you use audience interaction and engagement, it gives people more ways to learn about what you're discussing. And then it just shakes things up, right? It adds some fun. It may add movement if you get people to stand up and move around or turn and talk to a neighbor, adding discussion. So this is a really simple engagement and interaction. It's a simple tool to make your presentation so much more effective and memorable and help the audience retain your information. So if you're not doing audience interaction right now, you are shortchanging yourself and the audience by leaving that out. And then here's my final tip for the morning. I want you to, this is another mindset piece. When you're when you're in a presentation, are you giving 100% of your attention? I mean, right now, okay, type in the chat right now. I'm going to catch you in the act right now. Type in the chat what you're doing. Are you looking at Facebook? Are you checking your email? Are you doing some other kind of work? Are you feeding your cat, making lunch for your kids? Type in the chat, what are you doing right now as you're listening to this? Believe me, I'm not going to be offended because we're all doing this. We're all, especially when we do remote training, right? We're all doing a million other things while we're listening to a presentation. So I want to see you type in the chat. I want to see what you're doing right this very minute, or well, a minute ago when I asked you. The reason I want you to do this is because I want you to understand that your audience Melissa's changing her shirt. Deborah's watching this video. Oh, teacher's pet. I love you. Really? But you're not doing anything else? You're not on you're not doing like Facebook or email or anything? Really? There's so many other things going on in our heads. Okay. When we're watching a presentation, and even when we're in the room, live, even when we're not doing these virtual things, even when we're in the room live, we're thinking about what's for dinner. We're thinking about, oh shoot, who's picking up the kids from practice. You're thinking about all the other things in your life and in your day. The reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to understand that people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. Okay, Deborah blocked out the time and is literally just watching this video. So you're one of a kind, my friend, because this is not always what people are doing. Christina was watching cake decorating videos. Oh, that's actually so sometimes I will suggest to people that if you're going to be doing something else, do something that's kind of mindless. And actually watching cake decorating videos, that's a really good thing to watch while you're listening to a presentation online, right? Because you don't have to turn on the sound. It's visual. You can watch the cake decorating, and you can actually still be listening to what's happening and watching something visual. So Christina picked a really good activity to do while she's listening to this that she can probably do at the same time without being too distracted. Adela is writing notes about the video. Awesome. So I come back to this because we all take up a much smaller percentage of the audience's attention and focus than we think we do. And we think the audience is, noticing every detail and judging us and criticizing us and looking at every single thing. And they're really not. The audience is really in their own world. We understand that the audience barely has the mental energy to pay full attention, much less the energy to pick you apart or to look at every single detail. And so just remember that when you're enjoying yourself, then the audience can enjoy themselves as well. So if you get out of your head, another mindset piece, get out of your head and just remember that, it really isn't all about you. As I said at the beginning, you're here, your job is to serve the audience to the best of your ability, to connect and engage with them to the best of your ability and to the best of their attention span. And it's okay. People are going to drift off. You can bring them back. If you see that people are starting to, yawn and, look at their phones or whatever, then you got to perk things up a little bit, right? But especially while we're doing remote speaking and remote training, you just have to know that there are a lot of distractions going on in the world, and it's okay. It's okay. And don't expect everybody to give 100%. And this reminds me, I have some resources for you. So that was my last tip. Let's go. Last tip of the morning. I do have some resources for you that I will type into the comments. Actually, I can probably, I think I can put them in the comments. I don't know, Deborah, you tell me what you think the best way to approach this is. I can put them in the comments. I can put them in the description of the video. Actually, I could probably put them in the description of the Facebook Live. But one thing I'm going to send you is an article that I wrote recently about your expectations of virtual speaking. Would you type in the chat, type yes, if you've been doing any virtual presenting since this lockdown? Just type yes in the chat. I would love to hear, love to see how many of you are doing any virtual presenting right now. And if not, I would like to know why not, because it's a great opportunity to get your message out to the world. So I'm going to send you this article about changing your expectations of virtual presenting, because we expect people are having a hard time with virtual presenting because they're expecting it to be like live or in-person presenting, and they're having a hard time adjusting. And so I wrote this article to kind of help people understand really what your expectations should be of virtual presenting. So I think you'll enjoy it. Deborah's presenting virtually, Melissa's presenting virtually, great. And if you're not, perhaps you will be soon, other people who are listening later. So thank you, Christina, for Referral Marketing Club. Oh, that's great. That's great. So they've taken their meetings online. That's awesome. I was in a referral club before too. And I'm not anymore, but I wonder if they're doing their meetings online. Because so much of what we were doing in person translates very well to the online space. You just have to know what to expect. You just have to be prepared for it's a new way of doing things. And you can't just get comfortable doing it. You have to learn some tools. So I will be putting some resources for you. As I mentioned before, this is my book, Presenting for Humans. At the moment, I'm giving this away for free, not the hard copy, the digital copy. And so I will give you a link for that. It's kind of a temporary free download. I'm trying to do all my programs right now at COVID-friendly pricing. And so I made this one free because it's really easy to do. I have some other programs you might be interested in. For those of you who want to do more audience engagement and interaction, I have a virtual workshop on creating your own exercises. I recently did a workshop on taking your presentation into the online space. That one is called Go Virtual, so I'll share that with you. And if you like the idea of ditching perfection and creating connection, and it's hard for you to do that, I did another recent training called 8 Steps to Ditching Perfection and Creating Connection. So these are all virtual trainings that live on my website. I have been doing virtual training for 8 years and on Zoom for 3 years. So I've been doing virtual online programs and online courses for a long time. So this isn't new to me. However, like everyone else, I'm having to up-level my skills. I'm having to learn a lot more about Zoom, all the secret tips of Zoom, which I never bothered to learn before. So I'm also up-leveling my skills a lot myself. So I have a variety of programs. I will share them with you. I will share the free book with you, and I will share the article on changing your expectations of virtual training. Adela, not yet speaking virtually, but you will be. I'm looking at you. I know you're not really there, but I'm looking at your name on the screen. Deborah, thank you. It's an awesome book. I've gifted it to friends. I appreciate that. So here's my call to action to you. If you are not yet speaking virtually, make opportunities for yourself, okay? Make opportunities for yourself. There are a million ways that you can speak right now. Oh, I have another program called Speaking Up for Change. That one is really about just 5 steps to get yourself out there and to get your message out to the world. And I should be doing that again live pretty soon. But get out there, make opportunities for yourself. If they're not falling into your lap, find them. I'm sure you all know about, there are a lot of realtor conferences out there. There are also women entrepreneurship conferences. There's so many ways that you can speak. And a lot of these conferences are now going virtual. So find places that you can submit proposals, do Facebook Lives, get practice doing Facebook Lives to your people, to your community. And that I will leave it at that for now, because I know that I'm going to be popping in later today or throughout the day to check on any questions or comments. If anybody has any questions right now while I'm still here, that would be great if you want to type them into the chat. And I'll take a sip of my tea. This is one of the things that you have to learn about virtual training, is that there is no immediate gratification. Okay. So I said, type into the chat if you have any questions. And now I have to kind of sit and wait and drink my tea, because if somebody has a question, it takes them a minute to think about it, and then they have to type it in. And things are just not as fast as when you do live presenting. And it's a little bit awkward sometimes, kind of sitting with silence and being comfortable with waiting. So I'm going to take a sip of tea, see if anybody has any comments or questions. Okay. Well, it doesn't look like there are any right now. Excuse me. And that is fine. I will see you all throughout the day. And I'm going to sign off now. And I just want to remind you something that I'd love to see you write in the comments as we go through today is, how can you make opportunities for yourself? Okay, so I gave you a call to action, but now I'm going to give you kind of a reflection question here. How can you make opportunities for yourself right now, not in a couple months after we come out of lockdown, but now? How can you make opportunities for yourself to get your message out to the world? Okay, so write that in the chat, and I'm going to come back throughout the day. Thank you, Deborah, for inviting me. Looking forward to getting to know a little bit more about you all and your speaking goals and dreams. And I will be back later. Ciao.